heart disease, high blood pressure, obesity, and depression. These are some of the most common health diseases. Individually, they seem to have different causes, but there are commonalities between each of them. Besides eating, sleep plays an important factor. How important? Researchers at the University of Hong Kong, after studying doctors who were working different shifts, found that having an irregular sleep pattern can even damage our DNA and putting us at a higher risk of getting cancer. But those are the possible long-term effects. What about the short-term? This is how important sleep is. Have you ever considered that the way that we sleep from a 6 to 8 hour period is something that is relatively new? Think about it. Go back in time. For most of human history, the world was nothing like we see today. You may have been sleeping outdoors in a tent or hut or even a house. Once evening set in, there was barely any light until the next morning. As a result of that, our sleeping pattern was dramatically different. Back then, we'd have slept in 2-hour blocks, each one of these blocks consisting around 4 hours, with a 2 to 4 hour wake period in between it. That would have been the most sensible thing to do, because darkness is the most dangerous time to operate. Besides not being able to see where you're going, you're also not aware of what is coming at you. Thus, staying put for that 12-hour period would have been the most safest thing to do. Eventually, things changed slowly. Then we reach 1878 with the invention of the light bulb. The rise of artificial light sources as well as electronic devices changed a pattern that has been around for centuries. And with it came the consequences. The first thing that we need to understand is what happens to our brain when we sleep. It feels like we go to sleep, wake up, and is rested, a very smooth process. But that is not what our brain experiences. Our brain uses the opportunity when we are at rest to go through different cycles. The cycles start with non-rapid eye movement sleep to rapid eye movement sleep, or from light sleep to deep sleep. We go through around 4 to 6 of these cycles each night. Each of these cycles lasts around 90 minutes. As we close our eyes and sleep sets in, our brain starts to cycle. Our body temperatures start to drop, our heart rates begins to slow, and we become more relaxed. As we go further in, our breathing decreases, and our blood pressure matches the pace of our heart as it slows. You may begin thinking that our brain is doing exactly the same as our body, entering into a very relaxed state. When we go into REM sleep, or that deeper level of sleep, our brain activity actually increases. Why? We are not fully sure. It is believed that during these cycles, the brain takes the opportunity to repair itself as well as the body, allowing us to process more information and to store memories. When we don't get proper sleep, these processes are interrupted, affecting us immensely. For example, if you struggle with remembering events and not recalling things accurately, that may not necessarily mean that you have a bad memory. You may just be lacking sleep. Here's another one. This is a chart of the average sleep that each country gets. South Korea and Japan ranks among the countries who gets the least amount of rest. In addition to that, they also have a very high suicide rate. We cannot definitively say that a lack of sleep did this, but it will play a major factor. How? Those who lack sufficient rest also report higher levels of anxiety and depression due to what happens to your body when you don't get sleep. When we are sleep deprived, it affects our eating patterns. In what manner? Our body produces 2 chemicals that regulate our eating, leptin and ghrelin. They are used to signal to our body when we are full or when we are hungry. Have you noticed that there are specific times in the day when you feel extremely hungry? That is because of ghrelin. But ghrelin isn't only responsible for hunger. It's a growth hormone. It plays a role in the release of insulin, and it can even affect our cardiovascular health. A lack of sleep affects these chemical releases. And as a result of these imbalances, some of us overeat while others skip meals entirely. This is why a lack of sleep is linked to so many health complications. Your body doesn't have a way to regulate itself properly. Thus, if you find yourself feeling fatigued, lacking self-control and unmotivated throughout the day, look at your sleeping pattern. And as mentioned before, it affects your mental health due to the fact that the nutrition that is required for proper brain health is not there. either because we don't eat at all or overindulge in the wrong type of food. This is why those who suffer from depression and anxiety is recommended to get more sleep and to eat properly. It's a requirement for proper mental well-being. This is how a lack of sleep affects us on an individual basis. However, if you are an employer, you will want your employees to get proper rest. As you can clearly see, it affects productivity. But do you know how much? It is estimated that in just the US alone, a lack of sleep affects productivity to the tune of $411 billion due to vehicular accidents, workplace injuries, reaching to work late, and insurance. If employers want to bring the cost of business down and productivity up, it is a good idea to encourage your workers to have a good nighttime habit. Does that mean that they need to get rid of night shifts completely? No, not particularly. The most important part of sleep is not what time you sleep, but getting a full uninterrupted 8-hour rest. Once your brain and body is able to get through all the proper rest cycles, we will be able to function properly. Then we begin to recognize that our health becomes better, our productivities go up, and we find a certain enjoyment in life. Every single animal on earth sleeps. This is not something that we can neglect thinking that we are better than them. Sleep is important for our health and mental well-being. It is deeply ingrained in us and we need it. Thanks for watching.